Today, I'm going to show how I set up rotational gameplay for the 150 Sims that I'm playing with in The Sims 4. If you've never played rotationally but want to learn how, or if you already do but just want to learn maybe some more ways to do it effectively, then this video is for you. So let's go into the game and I'll show you how I set everything up. Now, if you're not super sure what rotational gameplay is, it means you rotate between all of your sim households and you play all of their little lives. Now, this is different from most legacy challenges where maybe your sim has 3 kids, but you only pick one of them to be the heir, and the other 2 just go off and live their lives and you never play them again. That is not for me. I get attached to these little pixels, and I need to explore all of their little lives and build up the family history and all of the interconnecting stories and drama between all of these Sims. So in this video, first I'm going to talk about the general setup of rotational gameplay. Then I'm going to talk about some issues that might pop up along the way and how to fix them. And lastly, I'll give some ideas to make rotational gameplay even more fun than it already is. First up is general setup of rotational gameplay. I like to play with small households, and I recommend doing that when you're doing rotational gameplay. It is more households to cycle through, but it's a lot less stressful. I tried doing the 8 sim household thing just to make rotational gameplay go faster. But the thing is, maybe it goes a little bit faster, but for me, and I assume for a lot of other people, it's more tedious to play with the bigger households, and it takes longer just to get through a single sim day. And because I had so many Sims to look after, it was harder for me to come up with storylines for them and to feel really integrated into their little Sim lives and to be able to create interesting stories for them. So I know for me and a lot of other people, it's just more manageable to play with small families, and it's easier to get really integrated into each of the little Sims' lives instead of trying to manage 8 Sims at once. And it really doesn't feel like that much more time to cycle through all of the families as it does to deal with the frustration of an 8 sim household. And of course, you might love playing with 8 sim households. If you do, go for it. But if you've ever tested it out, the difference between a small household and a big household, which one are you more creative with storytelling wise? Let me know in the comments if you feel more creative with your 8 sim households versus your 4 sim household, or if you don't feel any difference at all, let me know. Now, let's talk about aging with rotational gameplay. The bigger your family gets, the more generations you have, and the more households you have to cycle through, the more necessary it becomes to play with aging off. Personally, I don't want my Sims to go from toddlerhood to elder without me ever playing them just because I had 100 other Sims to cycle through. So maybe at the beginning, it's fine to play with aging on, but the bigger your family gets, the harder it becomes to keep up with everything if you have aging on. But what do you do when you have aging off and you're aging up your Sims individually, but all of their townie friends are kind of staying the same age? For that, I would recommend going into the game options under gameplay. So there are a few different settings in game options. You can have aging on only for your active household. So you can have it off for the rest of your played households and also the other townie Sims. Often I do have it on only active household aging up, and then I leave my other Sims to not age up. But periodically, because I want my Sims townie friends to age up, I'll turn on auto aging for unplayed households. If I notice that my Sims friends are getting significantly younger than them, then I'll turn on aging for them and maybe turn off aging for my Sims for a while, just so that their townie friends can catch up. And then once you get the townies aged up to where you want them to be, you can turn this off again. So if I had to say what the ideal settings are, I would say auto age, only active household. So then the other Sims in your household rotation are not aging up while you're away from them. And then for the unplayed households, I would adjust this based on your play style. If you play through households quickly before moving on to the next one, then maybe keep aging on for the townie Sims so they age up along with your Sims. But if you play kind of a long lifespan, or if you take a long time to cycle through all of your families, then maybe leave this checked off and just turn it on occasionally when you want the townies to age up a bit. Now for part 2 of this video, some issues you might have while doing rotational gameplay. And kind of a big one is getting generations mixed up or having some Sims kind of get stuck at one age while you're playing other Sims, and maybe that one Sim is generation 3 and only an adult, but then there's generation 6 or 7 babies being born. So the timelines can get messed up if you're not really paying attention to it, or if you don't have a very methodical way of cycling through all the families. So this is the website Sims Legacy Hub, and I use it to have a family tree. And wow, look at this thing. Okay, wow. Here we are. There are some babies my Sims have had that I haven't added to the family tree yet, but I'll get to it eventually. So these little grayed out pictures here, those are the Sims who've died. But anyway, this is my little family tree. And I tried to keep it organized by having it separated by generation. So the top here is just generation 1, and then generation 2, generation 3 is like on this line, and then generation 4 down here, 5 is here, 6 is here, and generation 7 is like little babies right now in my game, so I haven't had a chance to add them yet, but they do exist. But that example where I had a generation 3 Sim being an adult, yep, here, right around here. Oh wait, that's generation 2. So generation 3 is like here. And you see, we are far past generation 3. So that was an issue I had in my game. And that started because I had a kind of a complicated story idea set up for that Gen 3 Sim. And so it took me a while to kind of put the idea together in my head and get around to it. So I was playing all these other families while that was happening. So she should have been long dead when Generation 6 was being born, but it didn't work out that way. And that's my fault. So now I have this family tree. I think I just started making it a few months ago, but it is helping me keep track of things more. So something like this, or just any way that you can organize your generations so you can make sure that nobody is getting left behind, I think would be really helpful when doing rotational gameplay. And this website is free up to a certain amount of Sims. I think 300 Sims, don't quote me on that, but yeah, maybe something like that. So I recommend some kind of organization like this so you can make sure that the timelines aren't super messed up. So that is one potential issue you might run into, and organization is just the way to solve that. Now, the second issue that might come up is some neighborhood stories settings. Personally, I like to turn neighborhood stories off for my played households, and I leave it on for the unplayed households so they can do whatever they want. But if you have any Sims in the unplayed households who are kind of connected to your families, but not really, like you're not gonna play them, but they have some kind of connection to your family and you don't want them to do anything crazy while you're away from them, like moving in, moving out, romance changes, things like that, you can actually customize neighborhood stories. So you can do that with all of your unplayed households here. You can have custom neighborhood stories. So they're allowed to have a baby, move in, move out, join a career, but they're not allowed to do anything else. Sometimes I also download Sims from the gallery to kind of keep them in a house full of hot Sims that my Sims might want to date or marry. And so I will customize their neighborhood stories so that they don't get married and have babies and stuff, while my Sims are like waiting to age up to maybe go meet these other Sims. So customizing neighborhood stories is something you can do with every single household, whether it's played or unplayed, and I find that really useful. So the last part of this video is a few ideas to make rotational gameplay even more fun. One idea is when you go to manage households, sort by A to Z, because if your Sims keep the same last name, I'm very on top of that. Whoever my Sims marry, that Sim automatically gets my Sim's last name. So you'll see a few families repeated here. And one way that I can keep everything organized in my head is kind of playing alphabetically a little bit. So right now I'm playing with all of the Tanyulu family, and their kids married some people in the other parts of this family. So that's why their kids aren't showing up here. But by going into this family, I can see their family tree and all of their kids. And I play through that whole line of the family right now. I'm only focusing on the Tanulus right now in my gameplay, and that makes it more fun for me because I can really focus on these Sims storylines and their lives and their family drama and just really flesh it out completely. And then once I've played through all of the Sims in this little Tanulu line, then I'm going to go on to the Pineda family. And that kind of leads me into the last point of this video, to keep a little document with all of your Sims stories, because there's a lot of Sims here. Over time, I've had, I don't know, over like close to 300 maybe. I don't even know. I don't want to know. But it's really useful to keep a document of all their stories, especially so that I can go back later and see any past family history and drama and incorporate that into future storylines to see how their lives and their family history has impacted them. And I think that's useful whether you do rotational gameplay or not. But with rotational gameplay, you have so many families to cycle through that it can be hard to remember their little storylines otherwise. And sometimes I have an idea of what their next trait will be, but I'm not going to play with them in their next lifespan until I've cycled through like 10 more families. So I want to write down what their trait will be so that I don't forget it. Like I have a Sim who is really obsessed with his family. Like he is super loyal, super family oriented, but right now he's only a teen, so he doesn't have that trait unlocked yet. I didn't know until recently you can only give the family-oriented trait to young adult or older Sims, but yeah. So I want to remember that for when I go back to him because he does love his family so much. But if I don't write it down and then I take like a couple of months in real life time before I go back to him, I might forget that and give him like, I don't know, creative when he ages up, but he should have the family-oriented trait. So stuff like that too, I'll write down just because it's so hard to keep track when you have so many families to go through. But like I said at the beginning of the video, I wouldn't have it any other way. There is so much personality and history and drama between all of these Sims, and I love it. It's my favorite way to play. So if you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know if you enjoy rotational gameplay, or if you've never done it before, but now you want to try it, let me know. But that's all for today. If you like sort of gameplay idea videos like this, feel free to like and subscribe. I love doing videos like this. But that's it for today. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.